Hello, everybody. Hello. We're here, about ready to run well beyond the Witchlight. What session are we on? Do we have a count yet? Does anybody know?
I think
11?
Session 11.
Oh, man.
Okay.
It doesn't feel like 11.
No, I was thinking maybe like 8 or something like that. I'm glad someone's keeping track.
Speaking of session numbers, I got a bunch of the YouTube videos of our old videos uploaded. So
Nice.
for anybody watching this, if you want to catch up, a bunch of those are now up online. We ran into an audio issue with numbers, I believe, 5 and 6. So I don't know if you noticed, but the audio was severely unsynced by the end of the video. So I took both of those down, fixed the audio issue, put them back up. We've got 7 up now as well. 8's going up tomorrow morning. We should be caught up soon.
Yay! Now I can go back and watch them and find out what's happening in this game.
Oh, yeah. There's an idea.
That's an idea. I've just been winging it for the last 2 or 3 games. I have no idea what
What game are we playing again? Hey, Pathfinder, right?
Yeah. Today on Tomb of Annihilation. Wait a second. That's not the right game.
How crazy of a campaign would that be, though? Like, every few sessions, you just switch, like, what module you're playing, and, like, all of a sudden you're in the Plane of Fire. All of a sudden you're in Ravenloft. All of a sudden you're in Avernus or something. Just like,
I always wanted to run a Time Bandits themed like D&D game.
Ooh.
Where like the characters are just constantly getting tossed in like different, maybe scenarios, genres, time periods. Same characters, but just like different crazy places.
In our other D&D game that we're in, we just got teleported back in time 6 months.
How does that work?
I don't know.
Oh, no.
We're trying to figure that out.
Have you met yourselves yet, or have they said don't do that? Don't meet yourselves.
We're sort of assuming that we probably should not try to meet ourselves, that could be very awkward. Like, do you think that-
don't cross the stream.
Should we warn ourselves of stuff that's to come? Like, oh my god, it's really... Anyway.
That would be hilarious to do in like a stream like this, where you just maybe you play like one of the older episodes, and then you're streaming live at the same time and trying to avoid like what you did before, just live.
Ooh. Nice.
Sounds like a massive head game.
And it would probably not work.
Yeah, it seems like something you'd have to take a couple runs at to figure out how that would go.
Mm-hmm. I have it. I have this idea in my mind that it's like the Wellerman song, but it would not be. It would just be like probably just a disaster with people talking over each other and just everyone being confused.
I love the vision, Rob, but yeah.
The vision is there. But yeah, no. In practice, I don't know how it
practicality might not be there.
Any other announcements?
Well, we do have another announcement. I'll mention this again after the break, but we talked last time about possibly doing a second episode of our Blades in the Dark game. And we have decided, yes, we are going to do it. And the date is set for this Saturday. It is going to be Saturday, 12 noon to 4 p.m. Pacific time. Hope to see you there. This is episode 2 of Blades in the Dark. And then after that, I mean, I'm hoping like roughly once a month we can continue to do some one-shot from some other game that's not D&D. I'm sort of imagining bouncing back and forth between like really modern RPGs that really push the boundaries of what they can be, or kind of experimental with the rules, versus like jumping back to like classic games from the 80s and 90s to try out some of those and just have a riot with some of those absolutely wacky rules that they had back then.
Yeah.
In like different game systems, I've got like I've got an original copy of Boot Hill somewhere.
Boot Hill.
I don't know that one either.
That one that's sort of a weird, crazy system, like, and very, very deadly.
Well,
Oh, man.
send me it. I'd love to check it out.
Yeah, it's not like any system I see like nowadays. There's a few charts in it that kind of make it a little confusing at times, but it's not overly complicated. Just a bit deadly. So like in
the
D&D,
premise?
like you're raring to go and pull your sword and get into a duel. And in Boot Hill, if somebody pulls their gun, everybody's like running for cover. It's like, oh no, it's like one bad roll and like you're going down.
Is it like an old Western?
Yeah, it's a Western,
Oh.
pure
I'd
Western.
love to check that out.
Yeah, if anybody else too who's watching wants to make suggestions on like old RPGs or new RPGs that you know want us to play, please
Yeah,
do.
shoot
We
suggestions.
always like doing new things.
The current lineup is tentative, but tentatively, one more Blades in the Dark. Then hold on to your horses. I want to play the old Street Fighter game.
I knew it was going to be Street Fighter. I'm like, the next words out of his mouth is Street Fighter.
I love that game. There's a
What?
Street Fighter RPG. If you haven't,
What?
it's so ridiculous and so cool. I'd love to pull out a session of Street Fighter with you guys, and then I feel like we've got to do like a Played by the Apocalypse game. Yes, right, that one. Oh my god, it's amazing.
Oh my god, that Blanca though. That Blanca, look
though.
at that. Wow. Wow.
Yup.
The art on the cover is actually really good.
Then probably Played by the Apocalypse, something powered by the Apocalypse. And then we'll see. Yeah, maybe Boot Hill. I don't know. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. We got a D&D game tonight.
Yeah, we do.
Focus, people. Come on.
You. Focus.
We are in hither.
We are. You are in the Feywild. You have left the normal world, traveled to the Feywild, found yourself in this this boggy swamp full of strange creatures, rabbit folk that tried to beat you up and steal your happy thoughts, and a fairy dragon knight from the Summer Queen's realm, captured by the local hag and locked away. You're now sitting here next to this slanty tower with Talivar, the knight, the fairy dragon knight. He's told you that, and you've made attempts to break his cage open with strength and with skill with lockpicks, but neither has done the trick. And his suggestion has been that you seek out a character here in Hither, a goblin by the name of Jingle Jangle, that is a collector of keys. Apparently not too far away as well. He's told you that you can find Jingle Jangle on this landmark, and you can see it in the distance as this hill kind of rising out of the mist, maybe a couple miles away. He calls it Telemy Hill. He says that it is the hill itself is sentient, and it has been known to move on its own, by its own whims. It doesn't really speak, although it can communicate through some trees, some awakened trees that live upon it. Apparently, this goblin Jingle Jangle found a cave on this hill, made friends with, and has been living there.
Why do I have a note that says Clapper Claw?
That was also mentioned by the fairy dragon. He told you that if you really want to get around this place and the other realms, he's told you that there's 3 of them, that you'll need a guide to get from one realm to another. And he mentioned the name Clapperclaw as a guide that can be found most likely in the town of Downfall, which is ruled by a bunch of bullywugs. And Downfall is also the location that the local hag Bavlorna resides in. Her hut stands in the center of a lake that the village or city of Downfall surrounds. So you do have a couple things to do. To really get your way around here, you're going to have to find Clapperclaw at some point. And if you want to free the fairy dragon knight, you're going to have to find a key to get his cage open. And he's offered to help you as he can, maybe get a word to the Summer Queen or reward you in some other way.
Right.
Right then, let's go have a chat with a hill, shall we?
Yeah, how are you guys feeling though? Are you still hurt or?
Oh, no, I'm fine.
Yeah, me too. I'm fine.
Tana took a couple lumps in the last game, didn't she?
Yeah.
Ran right into the middle of a melee and with a bunch of rabbit folk that beat you with
Yes.
clubs. They made good on their promise, but you in the end prevailed. Left them
Yes,
with
I did.
many more bruises.
But I am past half under. Yeah. So.
Oh, still injured. So, well, I mean, there's opportunities to take a short rest. You are at a place. This might not be the safest one. Talivar the Knight has told you that there are some large snakes that have fallen asleep
All
on
right.
the other side of this slanty tower. He has suggested that you sort of clear away from this place as soon as you can.
That's fine. Can I rest on the back of the snail? Like just a short rest on our way to Ptolemy Hill?
Depends on what happens along the way. But yes, possibly. Especially if you're sort of floating along in the swamp and nothing bothers you. And if they jump up, draw swords, or fall off and have to swim or something like that.
Okay.
All right. Hopping on your little snail boat with your new companion in his cage in tow, you begin traversing the swamps again. Passing through these. There's some areas that are more swampy than others. You've noticed over the time that when you've been traveling, that occasionally the water rises. There seems to be almost like tides in this place. And at some points you're like kind of going over like a stream, and by the time you get to the side, it's risen like a few feet. And then others, you're walking along and the water just sort of recedes away. Kind of doesn't seem to make any sense. There's no rhyme or reason to the time of when these fluctuations in the water levels happen. But you come to this one point on your way to the hill where you look off through the swamps to the side, and you can hear the sound of water sort of rushing, like the sound of almost like a waterfall. The spray of water landing in the swamp and then suddenly cutting out as if like the flow of water has stopped. And then a few moments later, you hear that rush again. Can't quite see where it's coming from, but it's not too far away from you. A little bit off your path, but just far enough so that you can't see it through the fog and the mists.
Do we want to go check that out?
When you mention that the fairy dragon says, "Oh, you mean that sound? That's probably an owell."
A what?
An owell. There's a bunch of them here, all over the place in Hither. That's the reason this place is flooded. Bavlorna, she did something to them. Used to be normal wells in villages all over here. Hobgoblins lived in the forest, and regular goblins, and the bullywugs mostly kept to themselves. But these wells, they when Bavlorna took over, they all began shooting water out, flooding this place. It's part of the reason that this is a terrible swamp.
Are we in danger? Or
Oh, no, I don't think so. They're not necessarily dangerous. We could go and see it. Not too far away, it sounds.
Well, that doesn't sound very nice.
Oh, no. Bavlorna is not very nice. Very rude. Rude as you can imagine. And lazy. The laziest of all. Those bullywugs, man, you'd think that they, set the bar pretty high for being very lazy, but Bavlorna puts them all to shame. Doesn't like to work at all. Has everyone do little tasks for her.
like stealing dreams.
That's just the least of it. Should have you do your dirty laundry.
Ew.
Thorn just shakes his head disapprovingly.
Well, I don't feel like we need to go see that. We got to get you out of that cage, Jingle Jangle.
No, that's...
Or with Talivar.
Talivar. Yeah.
Talivar.
Now we got to get Jingle Jangle.
You gotta get Jingle Jangle to get out of this cage.
I took a knock to the head. I'm sorry.
Just the one.
How far is it to Ptolemy Hill?
No, not far, I think. Maybe half an hour. Depends on if it's moving.
Oh, yes. Yeah. For a moment, I was confused, but then you said it gets up and walks.
Well, it doesn't really get up and walk. It just it's here one moment, and then it kind of is over there the next. Not quite sure how it moves. Some people say it has feet, but I've never seen them.
What a
Is it sort of like it actually moves, or it's just it's in one place, then it's in another.
Yeah, sort of like that. One place and then another. Sometimes slowly moving that way. So turn away and it's like this and moves a little bit. And you could like one moment you'll be looking at it and then, go to, I don't know, fix your hair or something. And then you look back and it's gone completely. Could be on the entire other side of hither.
Well,
Okay.
that sounds hard to find.
Well, normally, but we can see it. It's right there. The outline is clear as day.
Well,
Hasn't moved. At least it's not moving now.
well, don't look away then.
Yeah,
Thorn's
don't
just
blink.
going to keep his eyes fixed on this hill.
The hill slowly grows larger in your sight as you close in on it, and in about 30 minutes or so, you find yourself at the base of this hill, and you can see that there is a path that winds up the side of it, and up on the hill itself, the first sort of real trees that you've seen in hither sort of dot the landscape above around this path. You can also smell. So you've gotten used to the terrible smells of the swamp as you've been traveling through it, and it's all just sort of like decomposing, vegetation, probably dead things underneath the water, strange smells from these bubbling, gases that are coming up out of it. But here you smell something different. It smells like fruit almost. It's sweet smelling. And you see, instead of boggy mud, that on the hill there's a damp, downy, and sort of silvery green moss that blankets this sort of gentward upward slope. That soon gives way to a craggy ridge that marks the top of the hill. And you can see up near the top dozens of enormous willow trees along the hillside, swaying as though in a breeze. Although you don't feel any breeze down here.
Do we need permission to climb aboard or anything like that, Talivar?
Well, the trees will probably confront you at some point. Just, be polite.
Okay.
Don't set any fires.
To the trees?
Oh, yes. You see those trees up there, the willows.
Oh,
They can be very nice and pleasant, or they can be very vicious. They'll throw you off the side if you're rude.
Oh, well, I'm not rude. I've got really good manners. Ask
That's
them.
good then. You have nothing to fear.
Oh, okay. All right, everybody, best faces. Remember to, shake their hands firmly.
And maybe
They don't really have hands.
no mention of pruning or anything like that.
No, don't. Well, unless they ask for it. Maybe they get a little bit off the top. Who knows?
Oh,
I don't know what trees think.
I can't wait.
You begin moving up this narrow game trail that sort of winds its way up the hill, kind of goes around it at one point, and it takes you a little while to get to scale it because the hill itself, it's about the whole hill is not huge, maybe like half a mile wide or so, and the slope to the top is maybe a few hundred feet. But the trail is a little bit windy, and it takes you a bit to get up to the area where these willows are. And as you do, a few of them suddenly uproot and begin sliding into your way to stand. Some of their roots kind of like in the path, others kind of blocking your way behind as well. And one of them kind of stands there for a moment, and then slowly you hear this creaking sort of voice come out of it, like wet wood sort of bending. Welcome to Telemy Hill. Are you friends?
Yes, we would like to be.
What are your names?
I'm Sam. That's Tanner. That's Thorn. And that's Sylphira. This is Talivar. I don't know if you know him. He's from around here.
It's a pleasure to meet you. And I bow deeply.
Talivar is in the process of bowing in his little cage as well. He says, you don't remember me, do you? Been here once or twice? And the trees look through the cage and they say, "Ah, yes, the little dragon. We know you. What brings you and your companions to the hill? And how long do you plan on staying?"
Oh, Rob, is my crown still active with the big wings that let me fly? Or is that
It
affected?
is. It's still active because
All
you
right.
turned it on to rescue. It's probably right near the end at this point of like that hour, but we're stretching it a little bit.
Okay,
We'll
cool.
say that it's still there.
Well, it's very nice to meet you, sentries. Ah.
Oh, that's really
Talivar's
clever,
like, "Oh,
Tana.
good one."
I thought you guys would appreciate that.
The trees
But-
are like, "We don't get it."
Thorn doesn't get it
a
either.
pun. Honey, have you never heard of a pun?
If trees could all kind of shift and kind of look at each other, they're all kind of like,
Because your tree. Oh, anyway. We're
Moving on.
here to get some keys. As you can see, Sir Talivar is in a way. He's in a state, and he needs to get out. And we need to get some keys from his friend who lives here. Well, friend, acquaintance.
"You are here to see Jingle Jangle."
Yes.
The one.
Yes. She resides at the top. You promise to behave yourselves.
Promise.
Scout's honor.
He is a friend of the hill and the willows. And they step away, and sort of these branches kind of move a little bit to sort of clear the way for you to continue on.
Thank you very much. The foliage is looking quite nice, I might add.
Oh, thank you. I just had it trimmed. You move your way along the path, heading towards the top of this hill. As you do, these willows that let you through are following. They're staying kind of like a little bit off the sides, but they're sort of like an escort, just to make sure that you don't cause any trouble. When you reach the top, you find some worn steps that lead into what feels like a cellar, and the shape of this opening at the top of the hill resembles like a keyhole. It's kind of wider at the top and then a little bit more narrow at the bottom. It's actually a little bit chilly up here. And as you're entering this cave, you can detect a subtle scent of iron in the air. From a distant spot within this chamber, you see some sputtering candles that are illuminating a multitude of keys that are hanging from taut strings that crisscross the walls. There's hundreds of keys here, hanging from these strings, kind of sitting on shelves on the wall and just strewn across the dirt floor. As you're taking in this scene, you hear the sound of keys jingling that herald a small goblin that emerges from the dimness. She wears a coat that's lined with these metal keys, and she carries a flail that has padlocks for heads. She seems a bit hesitant at first, but she smiles when she sees Talivar in the cage, and she says, "Ah, Lord Talivar, seems like you've gotten yourself into a bit of trouble. Come here to find some keys? What about the rest of your companions here? Who are you?"
Hi, we're new. We found Talivar in this cage, and we figured we'd help him out in exchange for him helping us out a bit.
And Talivar says, yes, I'm locked in a cage here. Bavlorna didn't like what I was saying. Didn't trust me. Doesn't really trust anyone. Sort of a mission in vain coming here to try to, any sort of diplomacy with that hag is useless. And I must have said the wrong thing as well. Probably, offered to do a good deed here and there, and she just decided to lock me away. I don't suppose you have any extra keys. I know you spent some time in her cottage. Anything you might be able to help me out here? And Jingle Jangle kind of moves closer to the cage, looking at your group and examining the lock of the cage itself. You might have something. Many keys are collected here, more than a few from Bavlorna. She examines the lock and begins sort of going through some of the ones that are on her person. But she looks up at the rest of your group and says, unusual to find those folk here that might help out another one. Are you You're not from here, are you? Well, you. And she looks over at Thorn. Is that what I think it is on your head?
That depends what you think it is.
That looks like the Witchlight crown.
Yes.
You're the monarch. A monarch.
I am. And I can do this. And I beat my wings and fly up into the air a little bit. See?
Ooh, she says. It's been many years since I've seen one come here. Oh, I sense joy just looking at you.
Well, I'm so happy to be here. But it seems like this place is having some problems.
Many problems. Ever since Sibylla was locked away, the hags took control. Everything has been awful.
Lazy leadership will do that.
Yes. I have no interest in leading, really. Just controlling. Just making themselves happy. It's all about their own whims. They care nothing for any of those that live here.
You know what they say. The early bird gets the worm.
They do? Who says that?
Well, it means if... I'm not sure what it means, but... something about working hard, I think.
Oh,
I'll explain it later, Thorn. It's all right.
He looks very troubled.
The jingle jangle goes through her keys. The ones that she has on her don't seem to work. And she ends up sort of kind of moving around the cavern, picking up like rings that have others on them and looking through them. It takes her about half an hour or so before she comes up with one, tests it out in the lock, and you hear a click, and the cage opens. And instantly Talivar like leaps out and strikes a heroic pose. He's just like, I am free! I knew you could do it, Jingle Jangle. I knew it!
You did
Leaps
it!
over to kind of like hug her leg, and Jingle Jangle's just kind of like giggling with joy at seeing Talivar free.
Good luck, JJ. I mean, good job. Not luck. You already did that part.
Wow.
I can call you
so
JJ,
much
right?
luck. Not so much luck. I'm very prepared. I've collected keys for so long now. I can't help it, actually.
Well,
It's a bit of a problem. It's part of my curse.
You're cursed?
Oh, yes. Pavlorna cursed me. Evil hag.
Oh, no.
Well, yes. I suppose it could be worse. I've seen others with worse lives than mine.
I overheard that you spent some time at Bevlorna's. If I may ask, why? What were you doing there?
Well, I went there originally as a servant, but I had heard that she could also, I was told that she could grant wishes to those that did things for her, or made arrangements, deals, and I hoped that perhaps she could help me.
Help you with what?
Well, I've always been afraid of small spaces. I was locked up often when I was younger, trapped, a lot like poor Talivar in this cage, put in dark places. It was terrible. And I wanted that feeling gone. It made it so that I could barely go inside small rooms, couldn't work in closets. My job, it made it difficult. And she just thought it was funny. She would send me to the smallest places in her cottage to clean them. I think she knew that I would ask her for something, anything, to get rid of that. And one day, she called me into her chambers. And she said that she could take away that fear, the fear of these spaces, of being trapped, that I would always feel free. And in my foolishness, I accepted. And she did. She took away that fear. I'm not afraid of those spaces anymore. But in its place, I've grown to find an obsession with all things locks and keys. I must seek them out. I must use them, collect them. As you can see, I have a large collection of them. I spend all of my time thinking of them, examining them, looking for more.
Well, it helped Sir Talivar today.
Yes, it did. It did. Not always are these curses useless. Sometimes they can be helpful. But the rest of my time, I spend it here or out searching for other locks and keys, and I cannot help but take them. I cannot stop myself.
Well, which would you prefer?
I don't know.
I
think perhaps I could have gotten over my fears before without this curse.
And a compulsion.
Yes. And it's not just a feeling. I have to do this. I cannot stop.
Oh.
I can see how that would be unpleasant.
I make for a terrible house guest.
Hey, you and me both, sister.
Well, we don't live anywhere nearby, so there's no fear of that. But thank you very much for your generosity in helping out Sir Talivar today. And, you don't know us from anybody, and you did so anyway. So, she couldn't take your kindness away from you.
That's right.
Well, I do have that, I guess. Unusual, I think, amongst goblins. I always felt I was a little bit different, at least from the ones that I grew up around.
Wow.
But it perhaps helps that I know of folk like Talivar. He was always nice to me.
Well, I think you're wonderful, just the way you are.
What will you do now? Talivar, you're free. Are you going to help them? And Talivar says, indeed, I shall. The rules of reciprocity demand it. I must give you my aid in any way that I can. But I also must return to the Summer Queen, tell her what is happening here. I believe that might be of great importance. These hags, they're no longer... when things first changed, when the hags took control, there was a sort of agreement that things would stay as they were. But they have not. They've gotten worse. These hags, they don't care for the traditions of the old ways. They're only interested in their own selves. They don't trade anymore. They don't foster negotiations or diplomacy. Things in the rest of the Feywild are disrupted because of what is happening here. So I must return, but I think that I may be able to help you, at least in some small measure. And he reaches down, and you see that you saw this before. He has a sword at his side. And he takes his belt off that sort of strapped around him with the sword, and he takes it and he hands it, takes it and holds it up for your group to take. He says, one of you, take this. I know that it is small, but it is powerful. It has an enchantment upon it, put upon there by the Summer Queen herself. It will defend you against certain strange creatures you might encounter here in the Feywild.
Oh. How big is this sword?
To you, it's like the size of a dagger. To him, it's the size of like a longsword. Think of it like sort of like a stiletto.
Okay.
Atana's eyes are glittering. She's just looking at it. She's not touching it. She's looking at it.
Tana, that sword looks just about the right size for you.
I was thinking the same thing. We thank you very much. What kind of creatures does it defend against?
Well, any kind. It is magic.
Wow.
If you run into some sort of a shape changer that is resistant to the normal blade, just stab it in the heart.
Whoa.
If you run into a ghost that you can't touch with your hands, stab it in the heart.
Oh my goodness, I was scared of ghosts when I was a kid, but everybody told me that you couldn't hit them. Yeah, it would go right through them. I knew it. I knew that there was a way. This is incredible. Wow, thank you.
It's a great weapon. I cannot tell you how important that weapon has been to me. Saved my life many times.
Well, I will use it in defense of others and myself and my family, and I appreciate it.
Excellent. One moment. Now that you have taken it, it should be in the proper hands. If I may, just if you could hand it back for just a moment.
Yeah, of course.
And kneel, if you would. So tall, I can't quite reach your head.
I've never heard that before, but yes, I'll kneel.
You have to remember that Talivar is like the size of a cat. So,
That's amazing.
when you kneel down, he reaches up high with this sword in his hands, and he says, "I knight you, Lady Tana, Knight of the Summer Court, your blade."
I stand up and I straighten my clothes and I say, I shall do you right, and I will be as honorable as I can be from henceforth.
Said perfectly.
Yes.
Yes.
You're a knight now, Tana. I clap you on the shoulder, forgetting to hold back as much as I should.
I almost topple
The
over and
Thunderbolling.
drop the sword. I am thrilled.
Well, my friends, I'm glad that you're happy, and this, I hope, will help you in your journey, whatever quest you find yourself upon here. And if I can, I will send aid to you from the Summer Court, if such aid can be secured.
Thank you.
Very much appreciated. One last question before we part ways for now. How do we get to Downfall and find this Clapperclaw?
Not too hard to find. Downfall, you just head back the direction we came, past the slanty tower. You see the causeway. There's a broken section. If you pass through it and then stay right to your right next to the causeway, it'll lead you right to Downfall.
All right.
Got it.
And there's no moving islands or anything like that, right?
Oh, no. To tell you the truth, I'm not entirely certain. I've always flown.
Oh, all right.
Good trick if you got it.
Yes, I know. It's a great trick.
Well, we have
but I would warn you not to go to the other side of the causeway. That would take you to the Brigand's Tollway. You'd run into the Heron-Gone. They'd rob you and leave you destitute.
Oh, the
And laugh the
rabbits
whole
that
time.
stole your memories? Yeah, we met them.
Yes. Those are the Heron-Gone. They're not. Well, I suppose they do look a little bit like rabbits. I'm going to think about it. But no, they're called Heron-Gone.
Yeah, here today, gone tomorrow. Yeah, we met them.
Exactly.
Well, they're sure gone now. Huh?
How do you mean, gone? Did you already handle them?
We sort of bested them already in a fight kind of thing.
Really?
Yes.
Ooh, did you tell me this story and I didn't forget that I've forgotten it? You must tell me the stories of your heroism. If you fought off bandits already, then, wow, there's another story for me to tell when I return. Quick, the details.
Oh,
Thorn, you're the storyteller here.
well, we were walking through the swamp, and these rabbit folk jumped out and said, Heron-Gone. And they pointed their sharpies at us and said, your memories are your life. And we said, no way.
Ha
And then Tana, you should have seen her. She charged in, just straight in. And everyone was brave. And
Underestimating the little one.
Sam was hiding and to come around from the sneak attack, and Sulfira bravely left to assist Tana, and I picked up 3 of them all by myself, and we chased them off, one after another, a pow, a boom, a bang, and they were down.
Excellent story. Left them bruised and beaten, I'm assuming. Taught them a lesson.
Yes.
Hopefully they won't bother anyone else again.
One
Yeah,
of them
some of them are bruised and beaten, and some of them didn't make it.
were a couple we...
Didn't make it where?
Anywhere.
alive.
Except maybe off this mortal coil.
I
Well,
did
it
bandage
happens
up
sometimes.
one of them, but one of them for sure he died.
Pour out a drink and say a word. Probably messed with the wrong folk.
All right.
It happens
I'll pour out a
sometimes
drink.
here. This is the Feywild. Things get wild here.
All
Death
right.
is part of life and rebirth. I'm sure at some point that life will return somewhere else, maybe in a better place than this cruddy swamp.
Yeah, I mean, if they called it the Fey Boring, I'd expect something completely different.
Oh, that's true. That is true. I have to remember that one. Well, my friends, it seems as if you're already off to a good start. If you've already defeated the Herringon, then never mind what I said. Take whatever route you wish. I'm sure you'll be safe enough.
Well, I think a guide will be quite helpful. What say the rest of you?
Yeah, we're going to need it.
Yeah.
Yes, when you get to Downfall, then, again, remember to look up Clapperclaw. Catechism, short, sort of stuffed with straw. Last time I saw him, he had a gourd for a head.
I'm sorry, he's stuffed with straw?
Yes. It's like a scarecrow. In fact, I think he was a scarecrow.
Okay, I thought it was a medical condition, but that makes
Worst medical condition. What do you got? Straw guts. that sounds
straw
awful.
guts sound like a medical condition.
It kind of does a little bit.
No, I think you missed the obvious one. Hay fever.
Hey, fever.
Boom!
All right, if you don't have inspiration for that, take it. And whoever said the straw medical, that was Callie. Take for leading up to that. You set up hay fever, so
I get one anyway. Yeah.
Thorin, if you don't have it for the story, take it.
Oh, thank you.
Yay. I also made a sentry pun earlier.
Well, you can't have more than one.
No, I'm just saying.
Just stacking them up. Just reminding.
We got to get to
No, I'm
rolling.
not stacking them. I'm just saying puns are good.
They are. All right. You now have directions to the next place to go. It's maybe at this point midday when you're thinking about moving on. Jingle Jangle suggests that you stay here in the cave if you need a safe place to rest. The hill will keep you safe. Nothing will bother you here. The rest of the swamp, unfortunately, that's very dangerous. There are hobgoblins out there. The Herringon, I'm sure, are not all gone. And, well, there's the swamp itself. You might find quicksand or other things. Will-o-wisps.
Rodents of unusual size.
Oh, yes. RUSs are the worst.
Well, I mean, we could probably do with a rest. I mean, is it lunchtime, perhaps?
It's getting close to like evening time at this point. You spend most of the day crossing the swamp.
I could do a long rest for sure.
A safe place to sleep would be welcome.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, a long rest would be nice.
Thorn just
Well, then
looks
I think
a little uncomfortable as he says, "Can someone remind me what Downfall is?"
It's a city. It's a small town or city, right?
Oh, okay.
it surrounds a lake, and Bavlorna lives in the middle of it, on an island, in a shack.
Oh,
Right.
Do you want to confirm that with anyone, or
Is Sir Talivar still around? I was hoping to get that in before he leaves.
yeah, you could, but it sounded as if you were asking that to your group.
Well, him as
rather than-
well. I wouldn't be
Okay.
trying to exclude him.
So yeah, he listens. Well, he listens to Sulfira and to Sam give the description, and he says that's about right. Although there's no island in the center of the lake, just Bavlorna's cottage, sort of a long, multi-storied cottage on stilts. 3 stories, I believe, the largest structure in Downfall. Although the mists typically conceal it from the land surrounding the lake, and the bullywugs, they're the ones that live there. You should know that they all think that they're quite noble. They are not. They're mostly a bunch of lazy fools. But they can They have their merits. There are some of them that are good. Without the aid of Wigglewog, I never would have escaped. And you may find others there that can help you as well. They're not all lazy layabouts. I would suggest that there was another that helped us a little bit, a friend of Wigglewog's. Look for Morgort, if you can. Maybe ask around carefully. I don't know if Morgort is in trouble if they were discovered in our escape. But they did help us a little bit, and they may be amenable to helping you if you seek them out.
All right. Duly noted.
Any other questions about Downfall, or should we consider the rest done?
How big
Is there
is
anything
the
we
town?
should be aware of? Anything we should avoid doing, or looking like anything that would maybe help us move easier through the city?
Well, treat them all as if they are aristocracy and above you, and you should be fine.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right, so lie to their faces. Got it.
Exactly. Be nice to them. Pretend that they are noble beings worthy of respect.
To a level like we should prostrate ourselves in front of them?
Oh,
Or
no. Nothing as drastic as that. Just, bow.
Overly- overly polite.
Yes, overly polite. Let
that's
them
easy
know that, make them feel important.
Okay.
It should
I
do
think
the
we
trick.
can do that.
Mostly they'll ignore you, to tell you the truth. They do have guards, but their guards are just as lazy as the rest. In fact, I never once saw guards standing in the guard tower that they have at the edge of their town. So you may just be able to walk right in without anyone bothering you at all.
Preferable.
I mean, that's never stopped me before. But anyway.
Is it all bullywugs?
I believe so. And other visitors that have come to Bavlorna. But the only bullywugs live there. The only ones that could really stand it, I would think. It's not very sophisticated. They have a handful of huts, and there's sort of a palace that they've built, which is sort of a grand hut, if you ask me. Their real claim to fame is that they built balloons. Bavlorna, at some point, taught them the art of balloon flying, and so, well, the balloon that I crashed in, unfortunately, was one of theirs. They believe have one more that was in operation when I was last there. Although we damaged it a bit so that it couldn't chase us.
Can we get a balloon? This is to the rest of the party.
We'll see what they have available when they get there. We get there. Yeah.
It's not like we have a lot of money there, Thorn.
Money. You're sweet summer child. All right. Well, thank you very much, Talivar.
One
sorry.
more question. I'm sorry, Sam. You mentioned this Morgort. Is there someone we can contact? How would we go about finding him? You said it sounds like he might be in trouble. I don't imagine us just asking anyone on the street about him would. I imagine that could be risky.
Perhaps you could, I don't know. Well, I wouldn't suggest saying that you are friends with me. That would be my first hint. Perhaps if you told them that you've heard of me, saw me crashed in the swamp somewhere, maybe lead them astray, tell them that I went to the east or something like that. Maybe you could curry a little bit of favor and then find out more without looking suspicious. I'm not so good at lying, I must tell you. It's not really my
Don't
fault.
worry. We've got that covered.
Yeah, I'm not either, but we can. Yeah, I'll let him handle that, and I point to Sam.
Yes. Well, you all know about the rules of conduct here, reciprocity and ownership and hospitality, I assume.
We do?
I
Look
don't.
at Sam.
Yeah,
Maybe,
of course.
That
Yeah,
didn't
it's
sound
sort of the
very
three
confident
things
there.
that you need to keep in mind here. The rules are almost in all of the Feywild. So sometimes they are enforced by magic and sometimes not. But most of those that you come to, if you arrive at their home without ill will or stealth or guile or lies, then they must allow you in and be hospitable to you. At least until you prove yourself to be a threat to them in some way. And then there's, of course, the rule of ownership. You don't steal. Never steal. Of course, you might have noticed that certain bandits break these rules, and others do it well. They typically only do so if they think they have, permission from the lord of the land or the lady of the land to do so. And I believe that the bandits, most of them, have some sort of a deal with Bavlorna. I'm not entirely certain what it is, but they don't seem to be too concerned about that, the rule of ownership in the Feywild. The last is the rule of reciprocity. If someone does a favor for you, you should do a favor for them. Reward for reward and such and so on. This also applies to those hags. If they ask you to do them a favor, then they must do one for you in return, and they almost always do so.
But with added baggage, I would assume.
Not always. If you're asking for some sort of a magical deal of some sort, something great beyond a simple favor, like it's like if you went to the hag and asked directions. No magic would be involved in something as simple as that. She may ask you to do something in return for her. Now, if, for instance, you wanted like a magic sword, like this great one, and you don't need one because you have mine now, but if you did, and you asked Bavlorna for it, she may provide one for you with some sort of stipulation. And I wouldn't imagine that you would get away with it being strings free.
I have heard tale that the Feywild is a tricky place. What's stopping somebody from simply lying if you ask them a favor? Or doing something that would do you harm?
That does happen. It's all in the wording.
Oh.
You must be clever.
And
there are those that do
you,
break the rules.
Well, I'm not too worried about me following the rules. I just don't know what the rules here are.
Simple.
Another one. Have you ever been to the other place, the material plane?
Myself? No.
Okay.
Drab and boring place. That is the Fey boring.
It is quite, actually.
You're not wrong.
Not always.
Is there a moon here?
No, this is... Oh, I understand. You're used to planets and stars and moons and suns and things like this. Yes, if you ever see one here in the Feywild, it's not actually a moon or a star. It is some sort of a magical phenomenon in the sky. This world does not exist in the same way as your planets do. The worlds here are flat, as they should be.
Oh no, are they flat Feywilders?
There's no fear of falling off the edge of the Feywild.
Just keep going. Thank you, Sir Talivar, for your help.
Of course, my lady.
All right. Well, I'm out of steam, guys. I need to take a long sleep and rest.
Do we need to tend to the snail, or
Let's tie it up. Make sure it doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, or eat any of the local inhabitants, perhaps?
Will it do that?
I think they're...
Is there a tree nearby that I could talk to?
Yeah, if you step outside of the cave, there's a few.
Okay. I'll wander outside of the cave and I'll go up to the nearest tree and I'll knock on it. And I think I'll try talking to it, not realizing it's just a regular tree. First.
Another tree says, "Excuse me, And then when you turn around, it is kind of looking down at you, and it doesn't have eyes, but like the sort of the bows have kind of come over.
Oh, yes. Hi. My name is Sulfira. We brought a kind of a large companion with us, a snail. Is it okay if we tie him up outside, or her, them, tie them up outside? And is there food that it can eat? We want to make sure that it doesn't eat any of you or your friends or loved ones.
Oh, I'm sure that we could outrun it. We will tend to your snail, fear not.
Thank you. And I gently pat the tree.
And this big limb comes down and like bonks you on the head. Makes you like an inch shorter.
That's my
Piles
kind
you
of
into the
hug.
ground a little bit.
And you see already that the snail is kind of just like hanging out like on this little grass. It's not really grass. It's they've got like I don't know what you would call it. It's sort of a mossy area because there's not a whole lot of grass here, and it's just kind of hanging out. Like it seems as if it's kind of wandered a bit, but it hasn't gone very far. There's plenty of things for it to sort of eat around here too, and the trees, true to the word, one of them kind of slides over that way and guides it a little bit to like a safer spot on the top of the hill.
Well, let's get some rest.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
Go ahead, take your rest, restore hit points, spell slots, stuff like that. Let's. I think this is a good spot to take a quick 5-minute break, and then when we come back, we can leave Ptolemy Hill, heading to whatever your next destination is.
All right.
Excellent.
The following advertisement is brought to you by Vecnacorp. Adventuring life can be hard. Say your tanky party member goes down before the fight is over and you need to get him back up in a hurry. Or you're going to get cheesed. You're fresh out of healing potions and the cleric hasn't been around because they forgot their partner needed the night off from watching the kids so that they can go to their underwater BB stacking classing at the Y. Or you finally killed all the minions in the area and you find a boatload of treasure, but you can't carry it all by yourself because the DM suddenly wants to pay attention to the encumbrance rules. Or maybe your little brother and you were horsing around and he fell off the roof, which totally was not your fault. But if you don't do something about it before dinner time, mom's gonna get pissed. If you've been through anything like this or any other situation where you need to get somebody back in the action, then you should try Renewzi Restorative Elixir. Just one dose of Renewzi Restorative Elixir will have the humanoid of your choice up and moving again in no time, even after suffering from grievous bodily harm. That's right, it works on humans, elves, half-elves, dwarves, halflings, gnomes, dragonborn, orcs, half-orcs, bugbears, goblins, hobgoblins, and more. If it's bipedal and small to medium size, then this is the solution for you. Renewzi is especially formulated to act fast, so you don't get left in the lurch. It's practically guaranteed to bring new hope to an otherwise dire situation. Warning, Renewzi Restorative Elixir is not approved by the FCA, Faerun Clerical Association. Use of Renewzi Restorative Elixir will not cure any party member of loss of hit points or return them to life in the event of death by any means. There's a significant probability that Renewzi will transform anyone it is used on into a shambling, lifeless hulk of their former selves, incapable of speech, thought, or human emotions. Side effects may include red or itchy eyes, hacking cough, nausea or vomiting, bleeding gums, catatonia, disquieting odor, unnatural bodily excretions, prolapsed organs, uncontrollable and non-targeted aggression, worms, explosive diarrhea, hunger for brains, maggot infestation, and or death. If your resurrection lasts longer than 4 hours, consult the nearest priest immediately. Renewzi Restorative Elixir is a product of Vecnacorp. Listening to this ad releases Vecnacorp from all responsibility and liability from using this product. Renewzi Restorative Elixir. You've got things to do. Death can wait.
Yay!
Oh my god.
Worms.
Let me see a
It'll
close
give
up
you
of that. Let me see a
Disquieting
close up of that
odor.
bottle again.
Here, let me post this into the chat.
Oh, do you have an image of it?
Oh my gosh.
Renuzzi,
Oh, that's awesome.
restorative
Hello, isn't it?
elixir.
Guys, we gotta
Yeah.
have some talks about our sponsors. Like, we need to vet these people.
There is Renuzzi, restorative elixir for the folks at home.
At Vecnacorp, a bunch of deadbeats.
Wait,
Oh,
Oh God, I got to come up with another Nerul Tech ad. We can have our warring
God.
biotech. I was just working at a biotech lab in San Francisco too, hanging artwork. So like that's on my brain. Some creepy necromancy biotech type stuff.
Yeah. All right.
love it.
Back in 5.
See you shortly. Welcome back, folks and fae. Here we are.
Hello.
This is traditionally the time that I plug whatever we're about to do next. I did mention it at the beginning of the stream, but I just want to mention again, we are doing session 2 of a Blades in the Dark game this Saturday. So these are conceived as one-shots, but we're doing a second one-shot of Blades in the Dark, and it's gonna be awesome. So, and this time, Brandon will be able to be there, which is exciting, because this whole setting is like pretty much your jam, right?
Yes. Yes. I can't wait.
In case you somehow missed the previous announcements, it is like a sort of gothic, urban, Victorian, nightmarish, haunted, like, what would it be called? Goth punk? I don't know.
Yeah. Goth
It's
Punk
like-
meets Ocean's 8 or something like that. It's got this. You can't forget there's a whole heist element to it, which is pretty amazing.
That's the other thing. It's all focused on heists, doing scores for your gang. Anyway,
It's like
gonna be
Ocean's
awesome.
11, but Edward Gorey.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I'm into it.
It's a great system. There's so much promotion for like the way that it motivates you to tell a story. Like it's built into the rules in a way.
Yeah. Kind of cool. So
Like
be there.
Boondock Saints, but also make it Tim Burton.
Yeah, there's a little bit of Tim Burton in there, a little bit of Boondock Saints. Right. So, anything else? Are we ready to jump back into this?
That's all I got.
All right. Returning to Telemy Hill in the Fey realm of Hither. There was a question, Tina, you had just brought up about this sword that you have picked up. You've now had time with it. You've taken this long rest. Everyone has wakes up in the morning. They have this breakfast of some dried fruits and mushrooms, and there's not a whole lot to eat here, but it's enough to kind of get you by. Did anybody bring supplies for food? And what do you, aside from a giant bag of candy floss,
I brought a sandwich.
a sandwich?
I brought
That's
one meal.
your sandwich is gone. I think at this point,
All right.
I think it was probably gone by the slanty tower.
Probably.
I
All right.
have pickled string beans, pickled cucumbers, and some jerky.
All right, how much do you think of that is gone in a day?
Probably a lot of it if it's our only supplies.
I think Sulfuris, Brandon, you said that Sulfura has some supplies of some kind?
I had found an adventuring pack in my inventory on D&D Beyond. I don't know if we started with anything like that. I think it just it came with the character that I made. So I saw rations and I was like, I've got rations. It's also listed as, I got 10 one-day rations. But yeah, I don't know if I put one of those together before we left.
Did you throw a bunch of Cliff Bars in your bag before you left the...
I like the builder bars. Got more
builder
protein.
bars?
They fill you out a little bit better. Not a plug. We're not sponsored by Cliff.
We could be.
Yeah.
If you're listening. All right. Somebody needs to do like an ad for some sort of like ration bar or something like that.
We'll put it on the list.
There you go.
Yes.
Add it to the list. What about Chad? Does Sam have anything?
Well, that's an excellent question. So he had been traveling with the Witchlight Carnival for some time. And so I don't know if he also had an adventuring pack that had just, random things that he would need. Like he'd been basically living with them, but also he had his small collection of personal stuff that he's been gathering over the last 8 years. So I don't know if there was anything in that.
Picked up some iron rations about 5 years ago. They're just sitting in the bottom of your bag.
Sure, like
these are still good.
Everywhere we stopped, he gets tired of pudding pies and candy floss. So he's like, I gotta go have some of the local cuisine. Take some of that back with me to tide me over, just in case it's a long time before we get normal food again.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I think long story short is you guys didn't bring a whole lot of food. You're probably running through it pretty quick. Jingle Jangle is not, her larder is not stacked. It has like a little bit of stuff. And when you're having sort of this breakfast in the morning, she actually tells you another sad story about how she used to have more food. She, a few days ago, had gone out truffle hunting in the swamp and was coming back with a bag of truffles after being out for a couple days gathering them. And she encountered another group of Harengon, maybe the same ones that you did, these bandits. And they stole her bag of truffles, her prized truffles. And so, like, when you're having breakfast, she's lamenting the fact that she's got like these mushrooms she's gotten, from the cave that she's in, and they're not as good as the truffles that she had. And you kind of feel like a tear come down her face at this lost prize that was stolen from her.
Ooh.
What do these truffles look like? Perhaps if we spy some along the road, we can save them for you.
She describes the truffles to you. They sound like whatever a normal truffle would be in your world. There's nothing especially fancy about them. She says that they have purple dots on them, which is a little unusual, but she describes them the same way. She says they taste wonderful. They have almost a tiny bit of like a grape flavoring to them. They're very hard to find. And I spent days looking for them. Cleaned out the patch. Now they're all gone. The Heron God took them. And they're probably eating them and laughing right now.
Are they weren't in the saddlebags, right?
They were not.
Fair enough. Yeah, they're probably gone, darling. Sorry.
There is some food in the saddlebags, though. Probably like 3 or 4 days worth of food.
Ooh.
So, I'd almost
Her
forgot
Heron
about
gone. So is it like pellets and Timothy hay and stuff?
It's just a bunch of carrots, and that's it.
Good for eyesight.
Yeah. Now they do have some. They probably have like some bread in there. It's gone a little moldy, and maybe some basic vegetables and some roots and things like that. Enough to keep you going for a few days. Probably a few things that they could eat and stomach better than you could, but they had some supplies. There's also like blankets in there. You find like a couple tents. They were out kind of moving around and camping. So consider, whatever a normal campsite would have, this snail is loaded with it.
That's kind of nice.
Mm-hmm.
We're not as ill-equipped as we were before.
Not as ill-equipped, but you still don't have a ton of food. And you're in a place where you haven't heard of places, or at least, there's Downfall. You have no idea what sort of resources they have. That seems to be about, according to Jingle Jangle, it's going to take you about a full day to get there if you're moving at a decent pace.
So at the end of this day, we'll probably go through one of those rations.
Yeah.
Is it enough rations for all of us for a day, or just one person for a day?
Enough for all of you for 3 days. And then I think Saphira has some stuff, and then Sam has some as well. So let's make we'll say that you've got a total of like what? Maybe for all of you a week?
A week of rations. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to put that down. I'll keep track of that.
Are you going to keep track of that?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
I have a big bag.
Might become important in a place like this where There's no stores right around the the block, right down the
Right.
block. You're gonna figure out some of this stuff.
Yeah.
The next morning after breakfast, you say goodbyes to Jingle Jangle, and maybe to Ptolemy the Hill, although the hill never speaks to you. But the willow trees do say that they thank you very, very deeply from the bottom of their roots for helping out Jingle Jangle, who's been so good to them. And they tell you that the hill is also pleased. And when Jingle Jangle hears this, like that you've made an impression upon her friends, she reaches down into her coat, into a special pocket, and she pulls out a key that seems to be made of some sort of dark iron. And she says, I think maybe you should take this as well. I found it in Bavlorna's cottage. It's one of the last things that I collected before I left. I think that it was important to her, although I don't know what it goes to. And she
Sure.
hands it over to you.
That's a good gift.
Just be
I'm
careful
going to
with
take it.
She
and
may
put it in my bag.
recognize it if she sees it. And if she thinks you stole it, that could be trouble.
Oh, that's all right. I'll just sign it. I'm going to sew it into the lining of my bag.
Very smart, very smart.
And everybody was telling me I was bringing too much stuff.
Descending Ptolemy Hill in the morning light, Jingle Jangle's waving to you from behind. Some of the willow trees, like their leaves, kind of give a similar sort of like shimmer. And you make your way back into the swamps and begin crossing back towards the slanty tower and the causeway upon which you first arrived in this realm. About an hour into your journey, you're crossing sort of a stream that passes through the swamp, and you have to ford through it. And after like giving a few minutes of trying to find a way around, there doesn't seem to be one. You've had to do this before. It's not unusual. The swamp is just a place where you sometimes get wet and soggy and gross. But this stream is a little bit different. Something strange about it. And who's leading your group? Like who is sort of like your person at point?
Probably me. I think I'm the only one with a survival skill.
All right. You're wading across this, and it might be a little bit deep for you. So you might have Thorn or somebody else maybe carrying you for this. Otherwise, it's going to be like up to like your chin.
You can sit on my shoulders if you want and sort of point the direction. And I can trailblaze.
Yeah.
Well, there's also the snail too, which
true.
I keep forgetting that you have the snail.
I was going to say, why aren't we on the snail? Is it
You
not
are on
bad?
the snail. You should be on the snail.
Okay, good. We're not in there. Then I'm just like riding the snail like this, and I'm like whacking
Yes.
at weeds with my
Right.
new
Can we
little
all-
rapier. Having a
It's
great
big
time.
enough for us all four to ride it?
You can use it to ford across water and ride it on normal areas. Like sometimes you have to use it a little bit more like a raft. Like if you're crossing water, because otherwise I think the weight of Thorn would sink it, or at least push it underwater and get everybody wet. But this is one of those moments where you're crossing like a stream and it needs to sort of float a bit. Tana's on it, and Sam, and probably Sylphir, and Thorn probably has to walk behind, but he's tall enough so that the water's only coming to like his waist. And as you're crossing this, though, Tana, you're looking over the edge down into the water, just looking for like any sort of trouble in this place. Swamps are notorious for monsters in the waters, and you're looking down there, and the reflections of like strange sort of reflections coming from the clouds above and from like the lights of fireflies going about, and you see suddenly a face reflected back at you, and it looks at first like a toad. In fact, it's a very familiar sort of toad-like face, but much larger. You've seen a creature like this before. It reminds you of that small creature you saw back in the carnival the first time that you and Thorn had encountered this thing. It moved with lightning speed. And that is when both you and Thorn lost some of your something to the Feywild, to these thieves that exist here. This face looks a lot like one of those creatures, but larger. These very bulbous sort of eyes, very frog-like features. And you're looking at this reflection, like trying to figure out if it's real. And you realize that it's not quite real. You're looking down kind of beneath the water, and you can see more of this creature. And you see that it's larger than the one you saw. It's more filled out. It looks almost female in its appearance, and it's relaxing in this sort of. It seems like it's lying back in the water below, and then you see sort of swimming around it other versions of it, like smaller versions that look more like the one you saw in the carnival. And you see one of them like grabbing a ladle and grabbing water and sort of ladling it on top of her to keep her skin wet.
And it appears to be an illusion on the water.
It seems to be like beneath the water, and like you pointed out to like whoever's next to you, but they don't see it. They actually see something different. Everybody sees something different in the water here as you're passing through this part of the swamp. Sam, you don't see this hag-like frog creature. You see what appears to be a child. But it's not really a child. In fact, it seems more like a scarecrow. You see straw sticking out of like its arms and the shirt that it's wearing, and like sticks that come out of these pants and go into these large boots. And you realize that it's missing a head, and that instead of hands, it has what appear to be like metal lobster claws. And it's taking these claws and it's picking up things and putting them where its head should be. It like puts a bucket there for a moment and then takes the bucket down, and then its hands come up and it's got like this withered piece of cabbage that it sticks up there for a moment, and then it takes that down, and eventually it comes up with a gourd and sort of shoves it in that spot and seems to sort of relax for a moment and then give like a little bit of a shrug, and then like that image sort of fades away into the water. Sophira, you see something different as well. You see the reflection of a tall, thin figure that's wearing like a pointy black hat, sort of the typical, witch's sort of garb. It's wearing this long black cloak that's trailing behind it, and it's climbing a rickety staircase that leads up to some sort of large structure above. In fact, you can see around it, there seems to be like stilts coming from this structure above that surround it and drop down into misty water below. As this figure scales the stairs, you see their shadows suddenly slip away, detaching completely from their body, and then move across the walls strangely and slip into a window and vanish. Thorn, what you see is you think for a second that it looks a little bit like a reflection of yourself. Like you see this crown on top of this figure's head, and then the reflection is a little indistinct at first, but then when it becomes clear, you see that it's not you at all, and it's this frog-like creature that you recognize as a bullywug. You've been told by Talivar, that what a bullywug is, what to look for. And you realize that this must be a bullywug from Downfall. It's dressed in the trappings of nobility, very fine garments, and it's got this sort of ill-fitting crown on its head that seems to be made of a mixture of metal and like droopy sort of lily blossoms that have been shoved into it. And you see this figure sitting on what appears to be a kind of throne with a large tome on its lap, and it's got it open, and it's just kind of leafing through pages. As it leafs through, it goes through like 4 or 5 pages, and then that image kind of ripples away and is gone. Same thing happens to all of you. You see these images maybe for about 5 or 6 seconds, and then they just fade away back into the stream.
Do you guys see that?
I saw something.
It was like a bullywug with a big crown and a great old book.
Mm. Well, I saw what looked like a billywog, but like bigger and different. And she was just relaxing, and there were other ones around her.
Well, I didn't
I
see
saw,
that.
I saw like a scarecrow trying on cabbages and buckets for heads. But then it got to a gourd. Talivar, he mentioned something about a scarecrow with a gourd for a head.
That sounds like Clapperclaw.
Yeah. Maybe it's showing us stuff that we're looking for.
We've seen before. I saw a shadow. The shadowy figure looked kind of witch-like, climbing a staircase, and their shadow separated and slipped out a window, and it kind of reminded me of the one that I saw that I think took my memories.
Interesting. Well, I saw maybe this was the one that took my dreams. And if that's the one that took your memories, and then you, Thorn, if that's the one that took your ability to feel hot and cold, does that mean Clapperclaw took Sam's stone?
That doesn't sound right.
No.
That one was...
Doesn't sound right either, because it wasn't that the little scary girl with the pig mask.
Right.
It just shows us random things. I don't know how these things work. Sulphira, you're probably the closest one who understands these kind of things, but...
I do remember there being the shadow, was the shadow of someone named Glean. So maybe this witch-looking person was them. I don't know.
Well, I think that we should see something a little more cheerful. And I pull out my pan flute and I start to play it. And as I play, this image appears like a reflection in the water. And it's all four of us having a feast with Mavra and Morgana and Sulphira's dad.
Oh my god.
What? Where'd you learn to do that?
Yeah. Did you just get the holophoner from Futurama?
I finished the song and it's all of us laughing as we feast with our parents, including the ones who are missing. And when I finish the song, it disappears. And I'm just like, that's a bit better now, isn't it?
It is, Thorn. Thank you.
That was really good, Thorn.
Full of surprises.
There's some swamp gas in my eye. Hold on a minute.
Thorn just sniffles a little bit and puts his arm around you. We're gonna see him again.
I know it.
For a moment, at the end of Thorn, at the end of your performance, as this illusion is still lingering in the waters, all of you notice some sort of figure that seems to kind of loom out over this image. And you can sort of see it from behind, and you hear an odd sort of cackling. Like, what's this? Who do I see in my pool? What is this? Newcomers.
I think we should get out of this water.
Who's there? Also, yeah.
Also, yeah. The image is just fading at that point. And you see just for a moment this figure kind of turn as if looking around. Maybe they heard you, you're not sure. But Tana, you recognize it as that frog-like female that you saw in that pool. That those buggy eyes and this wide mouth. And you see that she's wearing some sort of like a cloak that has It almost seems as if it's made from like these old mushrooms that have been stitched together.
Nope. And I just start slapping at the water.
And the illusion vanishes.
Okay. Well, that's a two-way street, apparently.
Things here seem to work a bit different.
I know. You don't think that was Bavlorna, right? That would be terrible.
Highly possible. I would say probable. We should be on our toes. And Tana, I will tap your shoulder and you'll feel this kind of cold chill through your shoulder. And I'll tap you with Vigilant Blessing, so you have advantage on the next initiative roll you make.
Oh, thank you, Saphira. I feel a lot better now, actually.
You seem to be the first one off your feet, usually. Like forward, I mean, not like you're clumsy. I'm sorry, that came out all wrong.
Oh, no, I know what you meant. Don't worry.
Moving along further into the swamps, this feeling sort of sticks with you for a while. You almost get this feeling like you're being watched, but it fades the further you get away from this one stream that you crossed. And eventually it goes away entirely. And about 2 hours later, you come back almost to where you started, the causeway kind of looming above. You're traveling between these two broken sections, climbing over rubble from where it collapsed, making your way into new territory that you haven't been to before. On the other side of the causeway, about mid-afternoon, you would guess, and like I said, there's no sun in the sky, so like the changes in time are very hard to gauge. Everything sort of feels like the end of the day here, like it's sort of this weird greenish orange glow, like the sun is almost always setting, but not quite.
You're saying it's like always twilight?
Mm-hmm. It's always twilight.
Oh man,
it's like my domain.
Or morning.
Damn.
That is your domain. That's cool.
Twilight is, yes, but not morning. You
can call morning twilight too, can't? Isn't that also twilight?
No, I think twilight is when the sun is setting.
Oh, all right.
And then dawn would be.
Dawn is, yeah.
It feels like twilight, but it's also it's wrong because you can't ever see the sky and the stars, and I think that's also your goddess, right? Isn't your goddess like sort of dual natured there?
Yeah, it's
the moon and the stars.
The moon and the ebb and the flow of like as the moon fills up, like her power grows, and then as it wanes, her power waxes, or wanes. Mm-hmm. So, and some would say that her mood levels do as well.
So what does this do to Saphira then? Because you don't sense any change in the lunar cycle here. You don't even really sense, like, it feels as if like the moon is maybe about half full, and it hasn't changed, and it wasn't half full when like you left. This is like, I'm assuming, the period of time where things are the most even for you.
Yeah, I guess I would be. I would have this constant awareness of that, and this wariness if it changes one way or another. But like a tenuous comfort, or like, not comfort. Comfort's the wrong word. Yeah, I guess tenuous comfort. Like I'm kind of like, okay.
But you also realize that like the thing that would comfort you would be being able to see the moon and the stars and knowing that it's there, and you haven't seen them since you've arrived in this place. There's a weird absence, and you wonder if there even is one up there. I mean, you've been told, I think, by Talivar that there is no sun and moon here.
Well, yeah, I guess I will. Yeah, that's a very good point. I'm going to start praying to Soluna off and on. You'll see me every now and again hold my holy symbol, saying a quiet prayer in hopes that Soluna gives me some sign that she's still with me.
The only signs are that you feel your prayers are being, listened to in the morning. You feel that energy fill you when you're restored. So you know that you're still connected. But again, like that part of your power that comes from the waxing and the waning of the moon is just absent.
Mhm.
On the other side of the causeway, you begin heading north, following the directions that Talivar had given you to stay sort of next to it so that you don't get lost. You can see off to your left that there are mountains that rise in the distance, larger than the hills that you saw kind of over near, like Telemy Hill was sort of near this range of hills, for the lack of a better description, to the east. To the west, your left when you're heading along the causeway, there are these mountains that just rise up and just vanish into like the clouds above. And they're very sort of steep and treacherous looking. They're almost like a wall to your left, very sort of imposing. You travel for, you're about maybe, 3/4 of the way through like the day, what would be around 3:00 or so, when you come to an area of the swamp that seems different than the spots you've been in before. It sort of stretches out and rises a bit, becomes very sort of flat. And when you're looking ahead, you see that there are these strange sort of objects like stuck into the mud in this open stretch that you're approaching. And as you get closer, you realize that these things stuck into the mud are like spears and like rusty weapons and old armor that's kind of just been like discarded here. It's all rusty and falling apart. The shafts of the spears rotting. Some of them are splintered. And it seems almost as if there was the remains of a battle or something that came through here at some point in the distant past.
There's I don't know why, but I think we should go around.
Yeah. It's ominous.
Don't like the look or feeling of it at all.
Give me a perception check, everybody.
14.
And if somebody has history, roll that as well.
I just got a 15 on the perception.
Does Thorn have history?
Alas, no.
No, not
I
yet.
got a 10.
A 10 on history or
No.
on perception? Does anybody have history? Nope.
I got a 21 in perception, though.
21 in perception. What did Sam roll? A 16?
14.
14. Thorn and Sylphira, you notice a couple things. One, the designs on, as you're looking around, you see actually some bones as well amongst this debris. Like looking through like the visor of like a discarded helm, you can see like this skull kind of like in the shadows beneath it. And you realize that the design on most of these weapons, on the shields and on the weapons themselves, seem to be of elven design. Lots of sort of flowing script and weapons that are sort of designed to look a little bit like nature. You also notice off in the mists, sort of in the direction you're going, something is standing there, an armored figure, maybe 60 feet away or so. You can just barely see it though, like it's a little obscured. I think Sam and Tana are maybe just looking other directions for a way to go around this area, and they just haven't noticed it.
Point
Oh,
in the direction of the figure.
who do you think that is?
I have no idea.
I mean, it's not anybody we're looking for, so maybe we should avoid them. The last strangers we encountered were either very, very helpful or very not.
Don't you think
It
we
has
should
been
be polite?
Sylphira?
Well, excuse me. The fog is getting to me. Sir Talivar did say that if we approached someone peacefully, that they had to reciprocate that positivity, but that may have just been in somebody's home.
Yeah, you're confusing the reciprocity and the hospitality.
Oh, yes.
People don't have to be nice to us here. Unless this is his home. Which, I mean, he could do a bit more with the place. Perhaps some walls, some drapes, maybe a couch over in the corner.
How fresh is this armor? Like, how bogged over is it?
The stuff that's at your feet is the only stuff you can really make out, and it's rusted, broken. You think years old, maybe decades. But in a place like this, in the Feywild, who knows? Time passes differently here, you've heard.
And they are they standing in front of us, like in the way that we're going?
The figure is. It's standing, like I said, about 60 feet away, just at the edge of like this misty fog that's kind of passing through the battlefield. And Tana and Sam, you see it, after it's pointed out, and like a bit of this fog kind of moves out of the way, and you get a closer look at it, and you realize that this figure, you can see it, it's standing sort of an odd angle, perfectly still, and it looks like a fully armored human, or maybe an elf. It's hard to say because there's a full helm on, the armor is completely intact, gauntlets, boots, everything. There's no shield, no weapons, doesn't seem to be armed. And the design of this armor makes like the helm appear to be like that of an owl. There's sort of like this beak that comes down, and the eyes are like little slits that you can't quite see, like, what's behind the helm itself.
Is it moving?
It hasn't moved since you've arrived here. Not at all.
Do you think it's a statue?
Could
Hello?
There's no reaction when you call out to it.
Do any of you have a good throwing arm? I certainly don't.
I mean,
Why?
I'm a decent shot.
I just had a thought, and I reach down and I pick up a rock, and I cast light on it. Maybe if we just toss this towards it and see if it responds.
That seems a bit aggressive to me.
Well, just throw it at its feet. And I grab the.
That's what I meant. I'd like towards it, not like at it. Oh, my words are all messed today.
No, towards it. I'm not going to hit it. I'm just going to throw it at its feet. If it catches it, that'd be cool. But I'm just going to do it. And I do it.
All right, roll a hit.
I don't want to hit
Natural 20.
it. I don't want to hit it.
Yeah.
What is that? Athletics?
Just roll it like a dexterity check.
You got
All right,
this,
Dex.
Tana. I'm going to give you a bardic die.
Ooh. What is that?
D6 plus D6.
All right.
Ooh,
I love you just gave her a bardic die to basically not hit the thing, to just get it close.
my dex.
Well, I wouldn't want her to miss and accidentally hit it if it like be taken as an aggressive action.
Yeah, you're giving her a bardic bonus to miss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably the first
Bardic,
time.
that's a dirty 20, guys.
A dirty 20. This rock soars through the air and lands right at its feet with a big and it goes deep enough into the mud that like the light goes out.
Oh no.
But it landed
Does
right
it
at its
move?
feet, and it doesn't move at all. It doesn't seem to even register in any sort of form. There's no twitch in it. Head doesn't move. Just stands perfectly still there.
Okay.
And again, you're like 60 feet away, so details at 60 feet are probably hard to make out. But as far as you can tell, it didn't even flinch. And
Nobody
it's not
needs
necessarily facing you. It's kind of like looking off a little bit to your left.
So, what is the light situation like? So we can see the figure in through the mist, and it sounds like we can make out some of the details of the armor.
Yeah.
Okay.
You get a few clear, sort of a clear look at it as the fog kind of comes and goes. But again, you're 60 feet away. Think about somebody standing 60 feet away in armor.
Well, it's not moving, so it's either a statue or just some armor just standing out there for reasons.
I
I'm gonna
want to
pick up another rock
here.
and cast light on it.
Give me that,
and-
Sulfira.
pull my morning star out, and I'm just gonna hold the light above me, and I'm just gonna start walking towards it.
I come
Nope.
with you.
All right.
All right,
Hello?
Sophia, you begin moving closer. When you get
We
to about
intend no harm. We only mean to pass.
you get to about 30 feet, and the armor suddenly moves and begins walking. So you're approaching with like this light overhead and a weapon in hand, right?
Yes, but like down at the side, not like.
Yeah, but where's the light? Where you said you were holding a light up, right?
So I
What?
imagine, yeah, like I pick up a stone, like I don't know, like golf ball size, and I'm just kind
Yeah.
of holding it up, like
So-
just above my head.
The armor was standing perfectly still, hands at its side, kind of like looking off and like not in your direction. When you get to about 30 feet, it suddenly shifts, turns in your direction, raises a hand above its head, and the other hand becomes a fist, and it starts walking towards you.
I stop.
And it stops. And you realize that it's stopped in like the same exact position that you are in. In fact, Thorin, you realize that it's mirrored. Yeah, and you take 2 steps, and it takes 2 steps as well.
2 steps back.
And it takes 2 steps back.
Sulfura, it's like your mirror.
This is odd. Selena, protect me. Selena, protect me. And I'll continue walking forward. But I'll put my mace in its ring. What is it, like a morning star sheath? How does that work? Is it just a ring off a belt? I don't know. I'll work it out later. That's what I'm doing. I'm putting that thing away for a second.
You're a
and just
carpenter. I mean,
peacefully-
there's a million different ways to hold like a tool like that, right?
Yeah, totally. I'll just put it in my pocket. You got that? That's what the fifth pocket on jeans is for. We worked it out, guys. It's for your mate.
You ripped a little hole in the coin pocket of your jeans and just shove the handle through there.
Just Mary Poppins it. I will put that away, and I will continue approaching, but I would like to ready an action in case it attacks me.
Okay. Action to what?
If it goes to make an attack, if I'm within 5 feet of it, I want to blast it with a guiding bolt.
Okay.
If
You
it makes
move-
an aggressive move towards me.
You begin moving towards it, and it moves towards you, mirroring you almost exactly. You get to about 5 feet, and it's still moving towards you. Unless you stop, you come all the way up to it, and eventually your mirrored hands bump, like your hand bumps against its gauntlet.
Oh, Sulfura, shake its hand.
I'll open palm. I'll switch hands with the light.
And it does the same thing, opens a hand and mirrors the movement as if it's grabbing something from its own hand.
What are you?
It makes no sound. Give me a perception check.
Okay.
Everyone or just Sulfura?
Thorn, you're up there too. Anybody that's close to this can make a perception check. I think, is Sam and Tana, are they way in the back still?
No, I'm going to come forward at this point.
All right.
Bringing up the rear.
I got a 19.
When you all get close enough, you can make perception checks. But Sophia, you're close enough to see that you can actually look through like the holes where the eyes slits would be in this armor, and like where the mouth of this helm, which is shaped like an owl, is open, and you can see that there's nothing inside the helm. There seems to be like you're not entirely certain, a little bit of a glow coming from within it, but there's no one in there.
I will say in Elvish, are you friend or foe?
There's no response from it. It just still seems to be mirroring everything that you do. So you take your hand down, its gauntlet drops.
I will ask the same question again in Celestial.
You ask the same question, and there's still no response.
Can I try walking behind it and see if it does anything while she's doing this?
How close are you getting to it?
I'm going to try to stay out of arm's reach.
Like farther away than Sulfira is?
Yeah,
Sulfira's
just
right,
really go
within arm's
around
reach.
it and
Yeah.
see what it does. Like if it notices me or if it's just focused on Sulfira.
If it notices you, it takes no actions. Doesn't turn its head. Doesn't do anything to indicate that it even knows you're there.
Wow.
Are we trying to get like through this swamp like it's blocking Sulfira's way?
It's standing in front of her. So technically it's blocking her way.
So in this case, can I like circle around it and does it mirror me? Like, can we 180 positions if we're facing each other?
You can. You begin like turning a little bit and taking a step, and it mirrors you.
Okay.
And eventually you've like do-si-doed with it all the way around. And it's still just standing there.
All of you go past. I want to keep an eye on this. If you go past, I think we can keep moving safely. I'm just going to keep my eyes on it.
So Thorn, you being a smith, you've gotten close enough to get a good look at this suit of armor, and it is very well crafted. This is like a full suit of like plate armor. Obviously of elven design now that you're this close. And it is not rusty and falling apart like the rest of the armor in this battlefield, or whatever this was. This either was a slaughter of soldiers of some kind or a battlefield of some kind.
Would it fit any of us?
It could fit, I would say, well, how tall is Sam? I mean, I think it would fit Sam, and it would fit, with some modifications, it could fit Thorn.
I'm
But
fine.
you probably wouldn't be able to use it as like a full suit of plate for Thorn. Like the arms, gauntlets, boots, things like that would be too small for you.
I'm not really the armor-wearing type.
What about Sulfira? Could it fit Sulfira? And are you the armor-wearing type?
I am the armor-wearing type, but this is far too heavy for me, and plus this ringmail shirt is important to me. It was a family heirloom, so I'd like to keep it as long as I can.
Well, all right, we're in the Feywild. They do things a bit differently here. Maybe this is some of that enchanted armor that's like lighter than usual.
So light that it moves itself?
Yeah,
This
that's
does
the
not-
part I don't understand.
This
I
does
think
not
we should
seem
stay
good.
away.
This is real good armor, you guys. I'm going to get a little closer and try to examine the armor.
How close?
Like right up next to it. Like I'll touch it if it lets me.
It doesn't move away, and then when you touch it, it turns, and it like you go to like move your hand to touch it, and suddenly it turns and puts its hand on yours, suddenly mirroring Thorn.
I'll reach out and attempt to touch it as well.
As long as Thorn is actually touching it, nothing changes. If Thorn pulls his hand away and you're closer, it shifts to Sulfira.
And we
Thorn?
have begun the first Fey game of patty cake.
Can I?
Try to take its helmet off.
Sulfira, there's a strap right behind the head. See if you can unbuckle it.
Guys, I don't like this. I don't know that this is going to go well.
I'm curious. Go ahead.
I'll do it.
You'll do it? Does Tana just walk up to this thing?
Oh, I'm too short.
I'll do
Are
it.
you? I mean, you haven't even approached it yet. You have no idea.
The last time I approached it, it didn't do anything, but I'll approach it.
You
this
haven't, but
time.
you didn't get closer than Sulfira. Sulfira
I
was
know,
like
get
up and like
closer.
touching. Get closer. You crowd in. When you get closer than anybody else, it begins mirroring you.
Oh,
So does it like crouch down?
No.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't suddenly just like shrink.
I
no, I
put my
meant, like-
hands on my hips and I do a
It's-
little booty shake.
It takes off its metal boots, it shoves them on its knees, and it does like a dwarf impression or something like that.
I knew you were going to say that.
But the important question, does it mimic her booty shake?
Yeah.
Yeah, it mimics everything that you do.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Clap them cheeks.
It is dance.
Clankety, clankety, clankety,
It
clank.
begins doing a little gnome dance.
So while she's really close to it, I want to see if I can't sort of at arm's length reach out and start to undo some of the straps. Like, I know armor inside and out, so I know which things to do to try to take it apart.
So when you get close enough to touch it, though, it shifts over to you and suddenly like takes a step back and is reaching like towards you in the same way.
All right, everybody touch it at once.
Give it a hug.
Group hug. Come on,
Group
let us
hug.
in here.
Group hug. Does everybody basically move in and touch it? Sounds like Sophia is not. Sam and Thorn and Tana all kind of move in. Sophia, you step back a little bit, but when all three of you touch it, it seems for a second to be very confused as to like which one to sort of mirror, and eventually its hands drop down to its sides, as if it doesn't know what to do.
Would
I'm
that
gonna
allow me,
hold a guiding bolt.
would that allow
I'm just
me
holding
to,
a guiding bolt.
Would that allow me to start dismantling it?
Yeah, you reach up to like some of the straps, and like at some points it begins to move a little bit, but like somebody else shifts, and then it begins to go in like another direction. It's confused to the point where by doing this, by all three of you sort of like, sort of taking turns distracting it and grabbing its mirror ability, you eventually undo the straps and pull the pieces of armor apart. An arm falls off first, and then the head, where the helm is sort of attached to the gorget or whatnot, that falls off and tumbles to the ground. Then a pauldron and another arm, and eventually you have this these pieces of armor that are on the ground, and you see that like each one of them is sort of mirroring like what you do when you get too close. Like a hand will sort of like clench or unclench, and like pieces of it move, but depending on how disassembled it is, like only certain parts can. And it's just this weird sort of shifting pile of armor on the ground after about 20 minutes of you sort of dismantling it.
I don't like that. Put it back together.
Too late now.
I mean, we can.
That's what I was trying to say. Ugh.
Look, I used to work in a smith's shop. This is...
Yeah? Did you work with armor that walked around by itself and did booty dances?
Well, the bandits where we come don't try to steal your memories either. This is real nice armor, you guys. This is the stuff that... I mean, I just don't know if it's safe to wear.
Well, let's find out. Sam, look at the helmet. You want to try it out.
All right, give me that thing.
You take the helm, you put it on, and nothing happens. You have this helm on now. It feels a little...
Just kidding.
Damn.
Oh, you hurt Sulfira. All right, I start putting the rest of the armor on Sam.
Are you going to armor up Sam completely?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
I don't. Is there any script? Is there any elven script on the armor? Is there
nothing? I mean, words? Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah.
No, I mean by script
Okay.
I mean designs, but no words.
Like just filigree and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any markers on the ground while they're putting their armor back all over Sam while they're playing Mr. Potato Head with the cursed armor?
No.
Seriously, guys, animated swamp armor, and you want to play with it?
Yeah, why not?
All right,
It looks
just gonna-
friendly.
Just sure. Weird. Super friendly. We're playing patty cake. It's fine. It's great. It's not totally going to encase Sam in a suit of armor that he won't ever be able to escape from again. Not at all.
Yeah, no, this won't be Full Metal Alchemist. It'll be fine.
All right, so you end up putting this armor back together on Sam, and Thorin, when you put the last piece on Sam, suddenly, Sam, you find yourself spinning around to face Thorn, and your hands come up and like go to where like you were where Thorn was buckling the last piece on.
Yep. Can you walk in there?
Roll a strength check, Sam, if you want to try to resist this armor.
That will be a whopping 10.
A whopping 10. All right, let me see here.
Oh boy.
Yeah, you can't even you can't budge, and that armor is just overpowering you with ease. What does Thorn do? By the way, like you hear inside the armor probably Sam going like,
No, can't move of my own free will.
I just
Are there
wanna
any?
try one thing. Tana, help me get a hold of this.
Okay.
And with help from the others to sort of distract its mirroring ability, I want to try and get in there and pick it up and take it out of this swamp and see if it's still doing the mirror thing, if it's not in this place.
It does. So you grab it. You guys move this thing, manhandle Sam in this armor with, and it takes you probably like an hour or so to sort of get it out because even though it's distracted, like you're all having to sort of grab it at once, and it's like occasionally flailing and trying to mirror someone that's nearby. And of course, Sam is getting like dragged around in this thing as you're doing it. Sam, give me a dex save real quick.
Oh boy.
10.
So you're able to mostly sort of go along with this. Like its arms end up sort of like swinging around occasionally, and you have no control over it. But you're able to sort of go like limp and let it sort of move you around. You feel like if you were trying to like resist this, that you could probably get hurt. So you sort of have to kind of just ragdoll in this thing to avoid injury.
And I
but
like
eventually
the idea that like they're moving around and trying to do all this stuff, and every once in a while, like the arm just of its own free will just accidentally hits one in the head. I'm like, wasn't me. Dang, wasn't me.
Did I find anything on the ground? Any stones? Any markers?
No stones, no markers, no nothing.
Flags, no banners, no.
I mean, there are some flags and banners around on the field, but they're mostly rotting and falling apart, but none that seem to be, connected to this piece of armor.
Well, Thorn, I think we gave it the old college try, but I'm pretty sure we need to let Sam out.
Sure did.
Yep, get me out of here.
All right. I want to try and get him out.
Oh, before you get him out, hold on. And I just start doing the Macarena.
God, I hate it when you do it. No, God, why are you doing this to me? This is just rude. It's mean.
We're gone for
Unfair.
8 years, man.
roll a dex save for Sam. You're gonna get injured by the
21 on
Macarena.
that one.
All right, you're good. You are not injured by the Macarena.
Ah,
Oh, God.
that helps with 8
Macarena
years worth of
damage.
teasing.
Yeah, you avoided Macarena damage.
Macarena damage.
That would have happened without the armor too, probably as well. Eventually, you manage to like unbuckle this armor and start taking it apart. You realize in the process that the entire suit needs to sort of really be like locked together before it really sort of overtakes someone. So it's possible to take pieces of this armor. You really don't know if this is a spirit animating it or something else. You do with it what you wish, but you can, bag it up and take it with you, Thorn. You have the carrying capacity to carry it along. And occasionally you'll see like the boot like kicking because it's trying to mimic you, but it's sort of like a C-3PO in a backpack.
Sure. Never know when it might come in handy. I'll toss all the pieces in a bag.
All right. You wrap it all up, toss it in the bag, sling it over your shoulder, and you begin to leave this battlefield behind. In the distance, you see just beyond this battlefield, maybe like another mile off or so, the silhouette of buildings rising in the swamp, and one sort of in the center that's poking up from the mist. It's a little bit taller than the others. And you realize that you are coming upon the village of Downfall. And as you see it, Thorn and Tana, both of you get this weird sort of feeling like there's something, and you see like that center building, it seems to be drawing you in. Like you have a feeling like you need to go there. some sort of strange feeling. You've never felt like anything like this before in your lives, but there's a connection that seems to be like pulling you towards that building. You can resist it. There's no, it's not forcing. It's not a compulsion, but there is this feeling, something strange.
Well, when we first arrived on this plane, you said that we sort of got a feeling that the things we were missing were here on this plane. Does it feel like we're closer to them now?
When you think about it, you think that might be the case.
All right.
Tana,
Yeah, I definitely let them know what I'm feeling.
I think what was taken from us might be there. Do you feel it too?
Oh, yeah. I feel like I need to go right to the center of that town.
Yeah.
And I think this is where we will wrap it up for the evening.
Yay!
Overlooking the town of Downfall and possibly the things that you lost in the carnival, or at least a couple of you.
All right. Well, that is exciting.
All right, everybody, we will be back next week to see what happens next when this group of Foundlings makes its way to this Bullywug village.
Yeah.
If there was a capital of Hither, this would be it. This is where Bavlorna resides. Maybe this is maybe something big going to happen here.
Here we go.
All right.
We've
got mimic armor or something. It's not quite a mimic.
Hopefully it's not mimic armor.
Yes.
Yeah.
The other
Something
type
else
of
altogether.
Yeah.
How
There we
terrible
go.
would that have been once you put it on Sam and it just like swallowed him whole?
It's like, thanks
Oh
for
my
the
God.
meal. Yum.
The armor just makes this big gulp sound.
Oh, man. I guess mime armor is a better term.
Mime
in this
armor,
case.
yeah.
I love that I just now have written animate mirror full plate armor in a bag.
That's going to be
Still
so
in one
conspicuous. Like you're going to be carrying a bag around, and every now and again, like a hand's just going to push out, or like a foot's going to kick. People are going to be like, "What do you have in that sack there?" Oh, it's just armor.
Nothing.
Wait, what?
Yeah, Thorn's going to be like waving
gonna
to
be
somebody,
sketch
and
as
like from the
hell.
backpack, there's going to be this gauntlet that sticks up and is waving, behind him.
I actually love that. Oh my
Oh, and
God.
like as he's walking, like the boots are just in the bottom of the bag, just like kind of.
They're trying.
Yeah, their feet are just doing like this.
Oh, man.
What's up?
I need to know what we're going to do with that armor.
I'm curious
Wow.
what you're going to do with it too.
Melt it down?
No.
What would happen? What would happen?
That's a good question. No, it's too nice of armor to melt it down. You gotta figure something out.
Sell it.
You
Sell it?
maybe could sell it. It is definitely a curiosity.
Get it disenchanted? I don't know.
I have options.
We will see.
Perhaps it could fight with us if needed.
How?
I'm not sure.
Throw it out.
Typically, symmetrical fighting has never solved anything.
Symmetrical fighting. What? You've never seen a Michael Jackson video with the two like tied together with the knives going at each other? Yeah, it's not going to work. I don't know. I don't know what you're going to do with this thing. It's now in your possession. I'm curious to see what you do with it.
Well, we have it and no one else has it, so there.
D&D is one of
that
those
going.
situations where you hand out something you think is completely useless and it becomes sort of like this end game powerful item that somebody's come up with some clever use for,
Like a challenge to the players. Find a way to make this
Yes,
useful.
exactly. Here's your challenge.
Yeah, if we can find some way to slave it to Tana, and then they like move, and there's two of them
Oh,
doing the
yeah.
same thing at the guy.
Now we're talking.
Oh,
Like an Echo Knight.
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
Like
if somebody
Pacific
doesn't
Rim.
know about it, you could set it up as like the lone guardian of a castle, and it would at least delay them a little bit.
But who
Yeah,
knows?
like it delayed us for 2 hours.
Right.
It did. It did really.
There was a horror movie I watched recently where the creature at one point, I won't say what movie it is, so I don't like spoil it for anybody watching. But there's a point in the movie where the creature that the protagonist is like fighting against is mimicking every single movement that she does.
Ooh.
And so
Oh,
when
I
she
saw
goes to like throw a punch, it throws the exact same punch with the exact same force.
Mm.
So like she like gets stuck against the wall and tries to push against it, and it pushes back with the same force. So they're kind of locked in this like
Whoa.
struggle. It's a really interesting scene.
It is a really cool scene. I got chills. Yeah. It
Oh,
was,
You know
you're
the
gonna have
movie
to
I'm talking about?
I
I
don't. You have
do
to
know
send
what
it
movie
to
you're
me.
talking about, but we'll talk about it later.
Yeah, no spoilers.
No
No
spoilers.
spoilers for the friends outside. But
Now I need to know what it is. Now I need to know what it is.
Yeah.
all right.
Well, thanks everyone.
right,
Thanks
everybody.
for coming. Come to Blades in the Dark on Saturday.
Yeah, so we can. Yeah.
Blades in the
Yeah.
dark.
Yeah.
I was gonna say
So we can do
stab
some
the night, but that didn't
Blades
sound
and
right.
darkness or something.
Yeah,
All right, everybody,
it's gonna
have
be
a good
steak
night.
knives at midnight. I don't know.
Right.
All right.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.